The Democrats and the fake news media want to constantly talk about, oh, President Trump is a convicted felon. Well, you want to know something? The man that I worship is also a convicted felon. And he was murdered on a Roman cross.
Okay, so when we say that she worships Donald Trump or that they worship Donald Trump, and then you freak out about that, Marjorie Greene, which we'll show you in a second. If you then turn and immediately say, well, whatever faults he has, he's the same as the Son of God, you kind of make our case for us. And she really was annoyed by these accusations. Take a look.
Excuse me, let me correct you, and this is really important. I don't worship, I worship God. God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump.
You sure seem to think that there's not that much error between them. Again, I will never understand. Look, I'm not a religious person, but I will also never understand worshiping a politician. Politicians are amongst the most fallible, most flawed, most egotistical people in our society, almost by definition. Some of them deserve our support, but the support should never be based on faith, and it should never be limitless. It should always come with a million strings and due diligence to make sure that it remains valid. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Listen, in order for the Damage Report to keep on going, we need viewers like you to become a member on YouTube. Can you click the join button on YouTube today? Thank you. But she talks about him not just in the way she talks about Jesus, she makes direct comparisons to Jesus. Many of them do. They're obsessed with the idea that this guy, who I would put down every cent I have ever made and every cent I will ever make, does not believe one whit in God or any other creator figure, and thinks that Christians are the biggest rubes in history.
Yep.
They think that he is the same thing as the Son of God. And they just can't see it, or they refuse to see it. I don't know which is worse. What do you think?
I think it's incredible, number one, that she just didn't wear a hat outside in that heat, because man, her skin is not lying on us right there. There's extra contrast between the bleach blonde and the red face. But I will say beyond that, it's amazing to get pressed upon a comparison that you made between Donald Trump and Jesus, and say, "Nuh-uh, I worship Jesus," okay? And it's like, but what? This is a very, very easy follow-up question and a very logical one. Do you worship Donald Trump as well? Right? And like you could even see, because the audience was kind of slow on the uptake in terms of like, the man I worship is, which is, and I just think more broadly, it's very funny that they've made this comparison a lot. You see memes about it. In order to make the comparison between Jesus as a convicted felon, which I don't even know if that's like accurate, like, was he convicted under the three strikes law? Like, come on now. Like, I think it was more of a misdemeanor, but anyway, it's just like to even make the comparison, they have to admit, oh yeah, Trump is a convict. He's a convicted felon. Yeah. But even then, it's just like, if you're gonna get pressed on it, Marge, then double down. Be like, yes, he was wrong, just like Donald Trump is wronged. Own it, own it. Or are you using Christianity in a completely bad faith way to pull one over on people? Gee, I wonder.
Which of those is it? But also, like, so this is a thing that we can do right now? Like, it's just a get out of jail free card? Well, they say that Joe Biden sleeps a lot. Well, you know what? God rested on the seventh day. Yep. I guess we could just, whatever comparison you want,
He's
just get out of it.
It's his seventh day.
So stupid and so fake and so hypocritical, and
and so embarrassing for actual Christians. Like, I am not religious,
Should
but
be.
It's really embarrassing. Like, if you can see your faith weaponized so crassly, so cynically like this, doesn't that give you a little false prophet situation? Does it make you fall farther from the Republican Party, or does it make you fall farther from Christianity, or perhaps both? Because it reduces it. It's so cheap, man.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
so cheap.
They called Obama a practicing Christian and Joe Biden a practicing Catholic. They say they're the Antichrist, and this guy who is 150% an atheist, with all of his affairs and the obsession with money and wealth and the lack of charity and the lack of compassion, he's the Holy One. We will never in America, I feel confident in saying, get closer to the sort of biblical conception of what the rise of the Antichrist is supposed to be like than we have with Donald Trump. It's not accurate, just like everything else in the Bible isn't accurate, but this is the closest we'll get. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?